that if it is not endorsed by them for them, it's okay to censor it. And they mask this as everything that they don't like is misinformation, disinformation. They're making up new terms like malinformation, information laundering. Information laundering. If you don't think that they're speaking to you like children when the media is promoting something like information laundering, okay, and if you don't think the government is speaking to you like children when they popularize terminology like leaktivist or hacktivist, and they throw it in there with terrorist, right? Terrorist organizations like Hezbollah, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, etc. I mean, give me a break. Give me a break. The thing is, they put it right in your face, because then they'll say, you know, again, treating you like a child, public disclosure organization. So, you know, before we get started, I'm very proud to be a quote-unquote public disclosure organization or an ideologically motivated individual. All lumped in that counterintelligence document 2020 to 2022, trying to demonize all information that is outside of the bounds of a very active predator class. That's why I need your support. If you're watching me now on Rockfin, great way to support me. Great way to support me. Again, we're going to make all these videos premium after the fact, and we're going to do what we did yesterday. We're going to cut some out. We're going to premiere them throughout the day, and then we'll do some other stuff on YouTube if, you know, I get an interview or I feel like we need to go over something else. That's how we're doing it now. Okay, that's how we're doing it, but I still couldn't do it without you guys and the GoFundMe. $5, $10, $15, it means the world to me. We have been demonetized on the YouTube platform now for 6+ months without explanation. Okay, remember they just took down one of my thumbnails. I obviously appealed it because it was ridiculous, and I still have yet to hear back. I never heard back when they took down my Louis Gohmert video, you know, and I think that's like 8-9 months ago. So again, everything's selective enforcement. And that's why when Ryan comes on, it's so important to, you know, get his story out to the masses and expose it to people. Because Ryan isn't a conservative. You know, first they came for Alex Jones, and then they came for everybody else they didn't like. And that's how it's always been. And you know what? We didn't step up enough for Alex. While we're on the platform, please try to thumbs up the videos over on YouTube. Go subscribe. Join the Burmist Brigade there as well. Again, if you're on here, you're already supporting me. You're doing a great job. Thank you so much, because Rockfin is the platform of the future. I really believe that, for free speech. And right now, it seems like we are being joined by Ryan Christian. I'm not sure if I hear him yet.
Test 1 2.
But I do hear him. And guys, I just want to get it going, because I know that you know, his time is very limited, and I was very disturbed to hear through the grapevine yesterday that Ryan had his channel that he just again achieved 100,000 subscribers on, had worked on 4 years, abruptly taken down, no access to his account, no explanation whatsoever, and it was kind of tough getting in touch with him in the first place. Ryan, how are you doing during these very odd and trying times of censorship?
Well, I'm trying to, you know, I'm oddly okay with what's happening, right? I was saying this yesterday. It's actually, I expected to be much more upset about, you know, losing 10 plus years of extensive work. But not that I have all the videos saved elsewhere and so on. But I'm oddly motivated by this. You know, it was kind of like, it happened and I was kind of like, okay, you know, let's begin. That's how it felt for me. Like, now this is the beginning of something, not the end, you know? And I'm sure a lot of people have felt that way when they go through this, but it's not just about me and what happened to me. I feel like we're seeing something happen right now. And it's not just because of the censorship. I'm, you know, totally honored by how much support I've seen by this, but it's like we are seeing this kind of momentum happen right now where even people you might not have expected are speaking out about what's going on. And again, it's not just about what's happening to me. There's this unbelievable amount of censorship happening. So I feel sort of motivated. And I want everyone to know out there that my show is going to continue. This won't change anything for me other than it won't be on YouTube. And I mean, I can't even have access to my backup channel, right? And I think indefinitely, as it would seem, but we can get into all that and what happened here. But I want to just make sure it's a positive note for people right now. And that's really genuinely what I felt yesterday. It was almost like cathartic to know that this is just a new stage that we're getting into, you know?
And you can find them at the Last American Vagabond.com. The BitChute channel is up and running. I know that you are also on this platform, Rockfin, which again, you know, we see the writing on the wall. We've gone to this model Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. To 2 p.m. I may stop because there's no commercials or anything like that before that. But every day you're going to get that for free, and then I make it premium, and we cut stuff up. Because really, that's the only way we're going to be able to do this, right? They're going to constantly just take us down, no matter how many backup channels we have. You know, we get heavily censored on Twitter. There's clearly collusion going on. This
simultaneous. For
this
sure.
is what you basically woke up to, or you just tried to access your channel? Yes.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting, and that's what's so unnerving about this. And what I really want people to understand, censorship is totally normal, it would seem today, which is exactly why they've been, you know, totalitarian tiptoeing into this. But it's the lack of a process, as people like you and I know, because we deal with all of this. But there was no email, no notification, nothing. I actually found out my channel was completely deleted because of somebody posting it on Twitter. I saw this and was like, what? And I ran inside and looked and was like, oh my gosh, it's completely gone. Look to see, you know, no email, nothing in the junk folder, nothing, literally no email, you know, and that which means no appeal process. So I go in to try to log into my account, and that's the message I get. And I'm thinking, okay, well, then I'm going to go jump on my backup account and try to go through the process. It's same thing. And if you notice on there, it literally says a perceived violation of either Google terms of service or product specific terms of service. And then it's down to one of the, I think the second bullet point, suspend a Google account user from accessing a particular product or the entire Google account system, which is what seems to be happening to me. I can't access my backup account. I'm actually right now wondering if my Gmail accounts, I can't tell whether or not whether they're coming through or not. It's just incredible that there's no ability to step up and be like, here, let me challenge this idea. Not even the illusion of an appeal process like usual, just simply nothing. I mean, we need to see how wildly unaccountable this is. And this, I mean, I shouldn't have to go into explaining why my content is the opposite. I mean, what I'm doing in my show, besides sourcing everything that I'm saying and saying, here's the document, is literally making sure that I'm not speaking in absolutes. The last show I did, which is kind of funny, on BitChute, you'll see the last one about Sweden. I said probably 7 times in that show, you know, like obnoxiously so, going out of my way to be like, and here's the document, here's right where it says exactly what I'm saying, but they'll censor it anyway. Here we are. It's incredible. I was only Sweden and immunity passports I was really talking about in the last show, and those things are very, very real. I think it's the Sweden part that gets them right now. Sweden is totally normal, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, there's a huge... propaganda campaign, for instance, did you see the headlines recently where they're saying, oh, it looks like they're going into lockdowns? I did a video on it. You read that headline and you're like, no, they're not going with lockdown policy. And then as soon as you start reading into it, they're not going into a lockdown policy. They're talking about having the health department go in, talk to local governments, again, not shut down businesses, not mandate masks, but instead strongly suggest people avoid large areas, the susceptible not go in there. Very different than the lockdowns that we're seeing in this country, but that's the headline.
But even if they did do that, people need to think about that. That's sort of irrelevant to the point we're making. I'm not arguing that Sweden's government is just good and righteous. I think all governments are dangerous. The point is that actions they took for whatever reason they took them, whether deceptive or not, are proving out to show that was the right way to go, at least within the choices we're seeing. Who knows if there was other choices that could have been made. The point here is that, I mean, I don't know if I can, I should have sent you this. Can I screen share something really quick?
Yeah, go for it.
I just lost my window here where we were at. I've got too many things open. Here we are. Okay, so screen share is, sorry.
No, it's all right.
There we go. Okay, I just want to, this is important just to show people, because this is something that somebody sent me when we were, people were, let me actually make sure I got the right one up here. Sorry. It's basically stats. I'm going to show you in 1 second some stats about Sweden that really, 100% show you exactly what we're talking about here. And this isn't something that can be denied. These are stats. Here we go. These are stats that show you the reality regardless of what people are trying to say about it. There we are. Okay, so here is the stats, and this is somebody just had commented, while I'm no fan of censorship, which is always the stupidest way to start a sentence, I'm not going to shed any tears for someone who thinks that Sweden's COVID response was correct. And I just tried to say, in case you missed it, here are some things that people shared. Now, here is Sweden's total deaths per million, going back from 2014 to now. So no matter what anybody tries to argue, their deaths are right in line with what normally happens in Sweden. You cannot deny that, right? Here's another graph that shows you cases, not even deaths, but cases per 100,000 up to October 18th. Anybody want to take note of where Sweden is in this line, right? I mean, it's very clear here, people, that what we're being told is a lie. I mean, if what they're saying about Sweden, or no, excuse me, if what they're saying about COVID-19 is even remotely true, and Sweden is doing everything the opposite of what they should do. There's not a bubble around Sweden. There's even cases there, as we're told. Shouldn't it be tearing through the population right now? Right? I mean, there's no way to deny that. And that's why I think they're coming down hard on anybody that's trying to point out the fact that the Time Magazine article that just went after them literally called Sweden a disaster. You could look at 100 videos online right now showing people going to movies, walking outside, and then that compared with the numbers I just showed you. End of story. And that's the kind of stuff I'm doing on the show, and they won't allow it.
Yeah. And you just had the America's First Doctors do their second big thing in front of DC. I watched the entire thing. It was just under 40 minutes. I can't say that I disagreed with one thing that they said in there. I didn't disagree with one thing, and I go, look, I'm going to post this, and either it's going to be taken down or we're going to get a fact check on it. And their big fact check, the only thing that they could try to come up with was, again, demonizing masks and saying that the studies show that masks stop viruses, even though if you listen to them, they tell you, and it is the truth, there are literally 0 studies prior to March of this year that masks somehow stop any RNA virus of any sort ever, ever, ever. And
it's important to add right there that the studies they're talking about, first of all, were meta-analysis. These weren't even new studies. They were taking old studies, by the way, that all came to the conclusion that there was no statistical, effect on transmission, and they combined them and they said, we think different, which makes no sense whatsoever. And then there's also studies that came out during that time period that came to the opposite conclusion. But they don't talk about any of that. There's no random controlled trials, and every single one of them before this came to the conclusion. There's no statistically significant effect on transmission of an influenza-like illness, which, by the way, is very, very similar to COVID-19 in regard to how it transmits. That's the argument they try to make. Whoa, that's about flu. It's not about COVID. It's the same. Any expert, I've referenced a few of them, have said that the size of it, the way it transmits, it's basically the same thing in regard to those factors.
100%. All you're doing is stopping droplets, and everybody knows that. That's actually paying attention.
But not even that all the way. I showed a study that showed that cloth masks, which the vast majority of people are wearing today because the CDC pushed it, ignoring the fact that it increases the risk of infection according to their studies, 97% of the time in that study, it showed that even droplets went through your cloth mask. Think about how crazy that is.
Exactly. And you go even further, that if you want to believe the CDC, when they surveyed these people that had turned positive, 70+% said that they wore the masks all the time. Now, you can think that they're lying and they're not telling the truth. Okay, how many? So now we're calling the people that got infected liars. We basically just call anybody a liar that, we want to when we're literally doing mental gymnastics. And I go, okay, let's say half of them lied. Let's say half of them lied. You would still be at 35% when the people that were dead honest and said, I never wear a fucking mask, were under 5%. So where are we really in your imagination land? Okay, that's what I need to know, because there is no metric for you people anymore. There never was a metric. And that's a huge point. For instance, I read on air the AP fact check of the World Health Organization official. Okay, that came out and said that lockdown should not be a primary. And in their fact check, they don't want to talk about 2 key things. The fact that he said that this is going to cause a doubling of world poverty by next year, not in the fact check. Okay, and number 2, that it will probably, more than likely, cause more than a doubling of child malnourishment within the next year. Instead, they made it a demonization piece on Trump daring to quote him and saying that the World Health Organization had changed their position. But it's not on their website, Ryan. So, I'm very careful when I do these videos because I'm like, which reality am I supposed to believe, YouTube? Which one is it? You said WHO. This guy's on the fucking board. He's one of 6 people. Right. I'm reading your fact check word for word. I'm playing the video. What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to gaslight myself into a super 1984 state where I just let you say and do and have your way with me? I refuse to do it, Ryan. And
you're supposed to do whatever they tell you to do, Jason. You're supposed to do whatever they say day to day. It doesn't matter. You have to 100% listen to the World Health Organization. Oh, except not that one though, right? Not that health guy, but the other guys. It's just so embarrassing to watch think about how incredible it is that we see these groups, and a lot of people see them as kind of omnipotent, right? That they think 20 years in advance and they've got all these psyops and plans. And this is how clumsily they're going forward with this. We need to see that these are just, these are some powerful people, and there's some pretty alarming things happening. But even within this, if you're honest with yourself, it's embarrassingly obvious. They're jumping through hoops from one day to the next to say you have to listen to these people, despite the fact that now they're even attacking each other from within the consensus circle. It's just so stupid. The point is that we should be able to think for ourselves. We should be able to analyze information and talk about information. And that's what we need to see right now is that they're not saying that these are these certain things are dangerous because they're false. They're saying entire conversations are not allowed to be had. You're not allowed to come out and say, hey, what about this? Why can't we consider the fact that the World Health Organization lied back then, or they were wrong about this, or there's politics involved with that? Nope, you just can't do it. Right? And these I think my channel and a lot of other channels that have been deleted are literally proving that. As we painstakingly go through the source material from their sources. It's just ridiculous.
From their sources, exactly.